welcome to the Doghouse Podcast, where we talk about stuff that will get us in the doghouse with our partners. Today's episode 6, recorded on Saturday, February 26th. Our main topic today is mental health in men.
And our second smaller topic is going to be stuff straight dudes aren't supposed to like. Examples, candles, reality TV. That's our lighter topic to have after our more.
But our main topic today is going to be mental health, and especially when it comes to men.
Yes.
And us,
all mental health, but specifically men.
Yep, exactly. Especially more pointing towards men's mental health, since I feel it's not talked about very often. If you can hear us in the background, my son is with us. My son is with us today for the first time ever on the podcast. So if you hear that, that's my son talking to us.
Yep.
So, but we can get right into it. Ed, if you want me to start, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, you can start. I have a bigger history with.
And do we have? I think we might have TikToks to share. Do we?
No, we don't have.
No TikToks.
No, I don't have any TikToks.
Okay. But yeah. So again, for those just joining in, we're gonna be talking about mental health with men.
It's gonna be recurring.
Yeah, it's gonna be mental health, but mainly with men.
Yeah, it's gonna be a recurring thing. We might deep dive into specific topics like anxiety, therapy down the road.
Yep.
But this is gonna be our first one. Talk about our broad opinions on it and what basically we want to change and help with.
Yep. So, I mean, with me, I think men's mental health is huge and it's not talked about enough in today's society. I think a lot of guys in today's society is just supposed to be like head down and keep pushing, and we're not supposed to show our emotions.
It's normal. Just grind it out. But as someone that has diagnosed mental health, like not having it diagnosed, it's helped me so much going to a therapist, going to psychiatrist, and now I'm even on medication, which helps amazing. Like it's something that people are afraid to do. Like I was afraid to do it.
Yeah, I think asking for help is a very big step, especially for men. Men asking for help, I think, is very
because
very hard for us to do.
A lot of men just treat their mental health with they treat their mental health by like drinking, smoking.
All right, we have a special guest here, my son. He wanted to join us, I guess. But
and on your microphone.
And on mic. But yes, I think us as men talking about or asking for help in mental health issues is very uncommon and very hard for men in general. It's not talked about enough, and I think a lot of mental health issues in men are looked down upon.
Yeah, it's really bad in some communities. Like the black community, it's like they go to church, and like I understand that because even my family was like that. Yeah, like you can just pray it away and stuff like that. Like no, you need to actually seek help. Yep, you need to talk about it. Like therapy isn't that bad. It's like I know that's gonna be something we'll deep dive on. Yeah, but I have done in-person therapy, and I had a bad experience. Then I had virtual therapy through text and had an amazing experience. And then I had another phone therapy, and I've had great experiences. And I've done almost everything virtual since COVID, so I haven't seen a person in face-to-face. So I think that can also help, too, for men.
And especially if
they're just embarrassed to talk about it. Yeah. You can just text about it. And, you can text at any time, and they'll respond. They'll tell you when, like, I use Talkspace, but there's, like, BetterHelp, all those. We're not sponsored by anyone.
No, we're not sponsored.
But I have used Talkspace. And, you can just text them whenever you want, and they will respond they have a certain schedule that they're available, and they'll text you back, and it's just a great thing to have. Like, any big problem, I would just vent there. Yeah. I would send them, like, a huge little novel, and then they would respond back, and they'd help me, and it really, really helped.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't go through like that stuff, I mean, there's options out there still too. Like, I talk to my mom a lot about things. My mom helps me out a lot. Abby, my wife, helps me out. I mean, not when we're fighting, because when we're fighting, we don't talk. But love you. But like about work or something, or like the kids are frustrating me, or whatever is going on in my head. But there's other people out there that will help. Even like just you and I, if someone wanted to help, I'm sure you and I would be there for those people too.
Yeah, like our Discord is great for that. We have a special channel. It's called Serious Chat, and it's like the no judgment, no jokes, nothing. And you can come in there, and your mom, my wife is in there. Yep. We're in there, and I have experiences with mental health medication. I have experience is with therapy, and you've had a very your past work is just mentally draining on people. Like you quit it because of the mental drain.
Yeah, I mean, and like as a mom said, a support system is huge, especially when you're dealing with mental health issues. I mean, if you have a good support system around you, you know what I mean. It makes things so much easier.
It does, but I still am an advocate of actually going to a therapist, just because they are an impartial person.
Yeah.
That if you give them 100% the truth, they will be 100% unbiased and give you a great.
Yeah. And I think I mean to touch on the subject of men, I think like us as men aren't supposed to show our emotions often.
No,
we're not. I feel like a lot of us are growing up to not cry or show that we're hurt or anything like that. I mean, that's just how I think a lot of boys were raised. Rub some dirt on it, or you're an ugly crier or something. From that point on, as kids, us as men aren't supposed to be emotional creatures. We're supposed to be these guys that are. Sorry, my son is acting up. But I think us as men are supposed to be people who are hard as skin, tough as rocks.
And I think that needs to be changed. Like,
yes,
it just makes men, hold it in longer, and then the suicides are just so much higher for men, just because they don't think they have a way out, and suicide is should not be an option.
No,
people should. There's so many ways to get help.
Yeah, there is, and even just talking to anyone at that point, if you're in that point of your life where
there's text channels now. There's like suicide text channels, like you can just text someone, and I feel like that's probably one of the best things that's happened in a long time is having those text channels, because some people are just afraid to meet someone face to face.
Yeah.
Or talk to someone even on the phone. Like, I have terrible phone anxiety. Like, I do not want to talk to people on the phone.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, exactly. But I have no problem texting with someone, and it's great to get your feelings out.
And I think, especially men in general, I think just talking about it, like, if I ever came to you just talking about it, I feel like I would feel a little uncomfortable. I think it's just the way we're set up now.
Yeah.
Like these days, like I think ever since it goes so far back to where the men are supposed to be making the money and doing all this stuff, and the wife or the woman stay at home and cook and clean and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like
needs that flannel.
I need that man's flannel. Hell yeah! Listen, Ed is the man of flannels over here.
Yeah,
he's the man of many flannels.
It is a Dixon flannel.
Not sponsored yet.
No, not sponsored. But I would love a sponsorship out of that, because their shirts look sponsored.
But yes, I think men's mental health is ignored and frowned upon, and I feel like we as men don't talk about it because of the way society looks at us.
Yeah.
When we do show our emotions, or when we do show our weaker side, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's hard for guys to say, "Hey man, I'm really sad right now."
Yeah.
Or, "Hey man,"
could you say that to one of your male friends? Like, there's probably a few amount. There's probably a small amount.
I think there's a very few people that I would go to, like, "Hey man, I'm having a really tough time."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like way back when I was going through something really hard, and I reached out, or I didn't really reach out. I acted before I reached out to someone, but luckily one of my close friends, Jeremiah, was able to get me help. You know, so like there's very few people that I would go to, like, "Hey, I'm really sad," or, "Hey, this happened, so I'm really depressed." I think that's just how us men are raised, kind of.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's hard to deal with in today's society.
I don't know if it's going to be like the next generation. Like, is it the millennial kids, the kids of the millennials, and like Gen X started it, but boomer parents, my dad has totally undiagnosed anxiety. Like, I see everything I have in me that's been diagnosed as a symptom of anxiety in him, but he will never do. Like, he freaks out. Like, one of my biggest things was I would get sick. Like, when I was so nervous, I would literally make myself sick. And my dad has had that as long as I remember, and I just took that as, you just gotta keep
tough
the
it
nerves,
out.
tough
Yeah,
enough.
yep,
You know, just cough it up and just continue your day.
Yeah.
And no, that was me having a panic attack,
Yeah.
and I know it's a sign. Like I know how to calm down from it, and I wish my dad would be able to do that too, but I don't think like as much as my sister is actually in mental health herself, I don't think he's gonna change because it's just that boomer and older
generation is rub some dirt on it, get over it,
Yeah. And I hope like you as a millennial father will don't treat your kid like that and let him have his emotions. If he has anxiety, if he's sad about something, let him be have those emotions so he knows to talk about it
and be there
and
when
know
he needs
it's not
there.
Scary.
And I think that's one thing that I think has been a struggle with a lot of people. Is they, especially in men, they don't want to reach out to anyone. They don't want to feel weak.
Yes.
I definitely think it's a generational thing. My dad doesn't believe in mental illness. He thinks you should just think in a different way and you'll be better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think like that. I think somewhat of me, myself, I kind of think like that too, and that's a bad thing to say, but I don't want to lie. Like there are times where, even with my wife, Abby, who I say, this life can't be that bad. I mean, we're good. Bills are paid. Everything's good, taken care of at home. And she's still upset. And it's hard being on the other end of that too. You know what I mean? So, I still have to work on myself and be better as well. But like she said, her dad doesn't believe in mental illness. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't believe in mental illness. And it's a real thing.
That's one of the big problems in today's age. Like there's people that are accepting it, learning about it, and trying to help, and then there's so many deniers.
Yep.
There's so many deniers of it, and like it hurts the people that actually are on the fence and don't know if they believe in it, or they have the symptoms but their family is against it, and it's and it ends up like committing suicide or
And it's crazy. I think the suicide rate's 3 times higher for men as well than it is women, which is another statistic that no one ever talks about.
No.
It's never brought up. The news, all these people, sad as it is, people do kill themselves, and I think the majority of people that are shown of these suicides are mainly women. And I'm not trying to degrade that or anything, but men's mental health is huge, and I think a lot of men are just scared to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's a great thing that my wife said, toxic positivity, where everyone has to like show like everything is perfect, everything is beautiful, everything is amazing.
Like on social media.
Yep, on social media. They have to, you can't have a moment of weakness on social media. Yep. And the social media people are, influencer stuff that actually do show that weakness, I think they really help, make it real, without them saying, hey, I'm feeling burnout, like that's another mental health thing. Like, you're, work the 9 to 5, you got to put all effort into it, and you get burned out. And it like, it just wears on you, and it's terrible. And like, I felt a lot of burnout with the photography because certain things happen and I didn't want to work on it. And this has actually been a great outlet for me to, use my photography, because we've slowly been upgrading our podcast, and I've been using all my technology for the podcast, and it's like helped me get back into it. Like today was one of my first. I've had only 2 or 3 photo shoots this year, and then just because I was burned out because I was doing so much.
Yeah, and that's like me with my streaming. It's hard for me to stay. It's hard for me to stay positive when I have a bad stream.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I don't want to get like, I'm not going to say I'm getting burnt out, but it's like, I only average 5 viewers or something like that. Then it gets me down. Like I need to do better and be better.
Yeah. And then you see people that are getting faster, better, faster. It gets down. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if anyone in chat has anything to touch on mental health, or like what you guys have been through or anything like that, please feel free to chime in, and we'll talk about it. Huge problem in the military. You mentioned mental health. Once you're broken and forced out.
Yeah, that's.
I couldn't imagine being in the military and the things that you've had to do or you've seen.
But what about like your time as a correctional officer? Like, did they actually care if you guys? Because I've seen a lot of real life. All the documentaries on. We have.
When I was in the DOC and things were happening, inmates kill themselves, or we get assaulted, or or there's blood all over the place, or we have to fight someone, or we get kicked or punched, whatever the case is. I mean, there's programs, but they don't. There's not anything.
But they don't actually come and help. Like they were. Oh, that's here for you. but they don't really like say, "Hey, this might be a good idea."
No,
and then you're not
I don't believe so. I think the supervisors when I was in the DOC were just like, "Oh, is everyone good? Okay, cool." And then move on. Get your reports done by the end of the day. You go home.
Yeah,
it's not like "Oh, are you sure you're good?" or "Oh, you want to come down and talk?" Nothing like that. And especially being men in a prison, I think we don't want to be like, "Oh, hey, I kind of want to go talk in front of all these other people."
Yeah, show weakness in front of the.
Yeah, you don't want to show weaknesses in front of your officers or supervisors or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like, especially as men, I think it shows weakness. I feel is in our heads. If we show emotion, we're showing weakness, and that's not okay. And I think that's built into a lot of men these days. If you cry or you're emotional or you're mad or frustrated or you're pissed off or you want to cry, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, like that's the only emotion men are allowed to show
is being mad.
Is being mad.
And then
taking out anger and beating someone up. Like, no, you don't need to get to that level where you want to punch a wall or, hit your wife. Like, no.
But I couldn't imagine being like Dan Roth said, I can't imagine being in the military, and the mental illness and the mental stuff that it does to you within the military, and like what you see and what you have to do is got to be insanely hard. And then you got to come back to the regular life as well and deal with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine trying like seeing the stuff that a lot of these guys overseas guys and guys and girls have seen overseas and stuff. You know what I mean?
I like even being in the medical field right now and all that right now, like COVID is, or what about the people in Ukraine? I don't want to get into full on politics. Like, what are they, like the atrocities they're seeing right now?
Yeah.
And like PTSD is
insane.
It's a true thing.
Yeah.
And it can show up as anxiety, can show up as depression, and
I'm gonna read this comment here.
Yeah, I've been reading it.
So Dan Roth 18, he commented saying, finally mentioned in passing, half joking to my higher ups after my 4th deployment, that hey man, this last one was a rough, having some mental problems mentally. I was immediately taken out of my role as a recon team leader and thrown behind a desk, and they started my separation paperwork until I went to JAG.
The lawyers.
Oh, JAG and got a lawyer. Okay. Even then, they gave me a choice of finishing my 20 behind a desk or taking medical retirement, and was told multiple times by higher-ups I looked up to I should have just kept my mouth shut, and now I'm just too broken to be trusted, when everyone on my team was like, no, he's solid, just needs some help here and there, and they didn't care.
Like, I think that makes him a better team leader, showing he has...
I 100% agree. I have no idea what that just was, but I 100% agree.
That was a notification of mine. I got turn my do not disturb.
And I agree. I mean, I think that's super wrong. You approach someone looking for help, and they kind of turn their back on you.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of like why men don't talk about mental illness.
Because they give that one opportunity. They have that. They show that weakness, and then they get kicked down.
Yep. And like you said, they forced them out. They forced Dan Roth. Forced them out within a year of talking, of trying to get help. Okay. Especially in the military, that's crazy because, I mean, the amount of things they see and do over there overseas, and then someone has a slip up and like, no, you're done.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good example of just men, how we should just shut up and keep going.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to show that we're sad or upset or maybe we saw something traumatic. Like even trauma in men isn't talked about enough. If we have a traumatic experience, we just put our head down and keep going.
Yeah.
We go back to work the next day and like nothing happened. We come home and like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like work. If something happened in the DOC and it kind of shook me, I just come back home and nothing happened.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to just keep going. I feel.
Yeah, like on TV shows that like like the fire and police department shows, like they always show them going to therapy. I don't think it's that easy to go to therapy and like that in those type of fields. Like even as I could imagine as a mental health or as a medical person right now, having to deal with the mental health of going through COVID, the swings of COVID and seeing people literally die, and it's happening so much, and now it's getting better again, and it's like open door policy coming, no negative, and there's totally negatives.
Yes. Like, yeah, and that's ridiculous. I hate when people say it's an open door, especially at work. Obviously at work, open door policy. But you come in and talk, and then next thing you know, like what happened to Dan here, done. You're gone. You're a mental head basket, or something's wrong with you. You got to go. That's not what it is. The guy, if someone just needs help, they need help. If this is someone to sit down and talk to, then so be it. You know what I mean? And I think it's super hard on especially men.
Yeah, I went, I never worked in any of those type of fields, but I worked in an office, and I actually got permission from, I actually had to get a doctor's request and get it filled out for a medical exemption because I wanted to wear headphones in my office because it was hard for me to focus because there was so much sounds and loud noises, which gave me even more anxiety. And all I wanted to be able to do my job better, and then I was looked down upon because I got that exemption.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, and that's why I feel like a lot of men just aren't open to talking about how they feel. I think this is the way society looks, and that's how it's been for so many years. Is the women can be emotional and crying and upset, and men are supposed to console them and be happy or and cheer them up, but us men can't be like that. Yeah. Us men can't be like, hey, something's really going on. I'm not doing good. Can you talk? I feel like a lot of men are afraid to reach out, and that's something that should and needs to change. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's going to start with us, but even if we reach one person and they reach out to someone else just because they listen to this podcast, is what this is about.
That would make one, changing one person,
and that's all.
They would maybe get a maybe get a therapist or talk to a friend or even come in our Discord and say, hey, this terrible thing happened to me. Can I just vent for a little bit?
Yep.
And just being able to vent for a little bit helps so much, there's a great way to, as someone listening, you have to be do you want advice? Do you want me to just be a listening ear? Or do you want me to agree with everything you're saying? You gotta as someone if someone came to you, I would have to and it's something serious, I would probably say that too.
Yeah. And it's just I think men in general shouldn't be afraid to reach out, especially with us. Our Discord would be a great place for people to reach out. I'm not saying you have to join. I'm not saying you have to talk to us, but if you want, we might not be able to point you or help you, but we can point you in the right direction to get you help. Oh, we're taking. Okay, sorry, I was very confused what was happening for a second.
Our behind the scenes was sneaking off.
Yeah, I was very confused. Our behind the scenes just left us, so now it's just us alone.
Yeah,
which is weird because this has never happened yet.
Yeah, this is the only time it's actually been us.
But yeah, I think mental health is especially with men is just a struggle in general in today's society.
It was a big thing. Before dating your mother, it was actually. I would cope with alcohol. I cope with alcohol. And I feel that's such a Wisconsin thing to do too, especially Wisconsin. Cope with alcohol, drink Wisconsinably. That's not being responsible. That's coping via alcohol. And I think your wife, pushed me, just gave me that little nudge, and I sought out a therapist. And I didn't have the best experience with that therapist. That therapist actually said, "Oh, you're better." She helped me with one problem, but I had so many more problems. Yeah. And she could have, I could have been her person for, her patient for life, basically, because, mental health doesn't, you don't get fixed and you're done. Yeah. And I ended up, then COVID happened, and I just couldn't get a new appointment with the therapist with my insurance. COVID happened literally a week before my appointment with the therapist.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I had an appointment for a therapist, and then COVID happened, and everything shut down. New appointments for for that therapist never. So I did Talkspace, and Talkspace, let me talk to them. Yep. And that guy was he was in state, but it was not in town, so I couldn't see him in person. Because he would have been great for it. Yeah. He helped with me so much, and he's actually the one that said, "Hey, you should maybe think about your anxiety is so bad, maybe you should think about medicine." Yeah. And I know that's a huge stigma to take medicine for your, and it, I had some side effects, and it happens. Every person is not the same for the medicine. Yep. And I've now tried 3 or 4 medicines, and I've changed my doses around, and now I'm on a regimen that I have to take 2 pills every day, and I would say my anxiety level on a day 3-4 years ago would have been on a 7. Yep. I was always on edge, worried about everything, my brain going back and forth, and now I say my anxiety is probably at a 2. I'll never not have anxiety because it's never not going to happen. I'm never going to be a person that doesn't have anxiety.
And I think that's another thing too. Is I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I think men and taking medicine is another thing.
Yes.
It's like mental health. Like as a man, you're not allowed to take medicine.
I don't take medicine for anything. Like I don't even want to take ibuprofen.
That's exactly. That's how I am too. I think that's how we were raised. You know, like men, just rub some dirt on it, get over it. You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. But we do have some comments here, and I'd love to read these comments. My wife said, "I feel like mentally demanding jobs don't offer a lot of help or even time for employees to get help for their mental health. In the DOC, which I used to work for, Issa Dad, which is me, worked insane hours. There was barely any time to have social life, let alone seek treatment for mental health." And that is very true. You know, in the DOC, I don't know how it is in the military or county jails or anything.
Yeah,
but
Dan Roth brought up how it was. You know,
we were working 16-hour shifts.
Yeah.
4 to 5 days a week, and sometimes we didn't have choices. You get forced to stay. You don't have a choice. Otherwise you get in trouble for leaving.
You can't. You can't leave the prisoners alone.
Otherwise, you can. Yeah, and, if a traumatic or something bad experience happened to you on Monday, and you still have 5 days to work, and you're getting forced for doubles and doubles and doubles, when do you have time to seek help?
Yeah.
And so, oh my God, if you pick up the phone and call in, everyone the next day, everyone's like, oh, he's fucking, Brian is a fucking, he just wants a fucking time off, And
he just wants time off. He's a pansy, he's a fairy.
Exactly.
Which I am not I am not homophobic at all. Yeah. But those are the words that are said because we're soft.
Yep. And then Dream Slayer has another comment. I think one of the most difficult aspects for most is the awkward stigma behind opening up to some. And I agree with that. I 100% agree with that statement. I feel like as men, it's very awkward to open up and talk about what's going on in our lives and how it's affecting us and how we feel. I'm going to keep bringing it up. Us men aren't allowed to show our emotions.
Yep.
And I think it's built into us when we do show emotions. We're weak. We're cowards. We're not men. All that kind of stuff. So I agree. I think we need to start erasing that stigma of it being awkward and the stigma of
someone coming to you. Don't be a dick to them.
Yep. And just listen.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to talk to them, point them in the direction that they can get help.
Yeah.
Because if you don't help, that person could end up doing something that they will regret and will hurt themselves or their family.
Yeah.
And that's not what we
want. Like not even suicide, they could go drinking and then drink and drive and get in a car accident, kill themselves, kill a friend, kill another random passenger. Like here's what Dan Roth said was like, they're work, and they don't have time to process everything. Mm-hmm. Now they're back home and
they're processing everything now.
And now they're processing everything, and they have this mental overload, and that's where they get into drugs and they get into the alcohol, and that's where the addiction happens.
And like, we have another good comment here from Dan. Dan has a long comment here. I'm going to read it to everyone here. Dan says, yeah, that's another huge problem is when you are always training or deploying or doing something, you're busy.
Yep.
Your mind doesn't have time to relax and focus on what you've been through. But when you start getting, I lost track. But when you start getting out or you start winding down to the end of your career, you have all this free time.
Yep.
And most take to drinking because you sit around the barracks with nothing to do but to think about everything. And then he continued on saying, it took me years. Dan says it took him years after he got out to finally fully come to terms with everything that he's done and he's been through, and just fully realize that it's normal to feel the way that he feels. And it's been this way since 2012. He last deployed. There's still times where he'll just remember things from then, and he just totally forgot about them. And then out of nowhere, he remembers something that
he'll just have to work through that now. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's just something, as sad as is, the military, and just not even the military, but just stressful jobs like that. You know what I mean? Like there are times still
or traumatic events, like just PTSD in general can be just more than, just they get forced on, like it gets forced on you and you just suppress it. And then a certain thing is like, oh God, that happened.
Yep.
That's why I am the way I am, Yep.
Sneaks, I'm glad you make it in here, man. We're still talking about mental health, especially when it comes to men. Mental health in men is our serious big topic today. And it's a shame, like Dan kind of, Sneaks, you kind of missed it, but Dan here kind of got forced out of his job due to trying to find help.
Yep.
And that's...
He actually admitted he needed help.
Yeah.
And that actually pushed him out. They kind of pushed him out of the job.
And that's again what I think is wrong in today's world is men aren't, I want to say aren't allowed, obviously everyone's allowed to look for help, but men, it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
It's frowned upon, looked down on. You get called names, you get picked on, you get all this other stuff if you say, hey, I really need, like, hey, Ed, something happens today. I really need to talk to you.
Yeah. Or, hey, I need a mental health day.
Yeah,
I just need a day to decompress. I need to be away.
Yeah.
I need to just, play some video games. I want to just, not worry about everything.
And Jason commented, not being allowed to open up in a way is one thing, but pride is a major thing with opening up too.
Yeah.
I agree. Pride is a major thing, but if you're at that point in your life where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, my next thing is like, I'm going to hurt myself, I'm going to hurt someone, I'm going to go and drink myself under the table, I'm going to go do something, that's when you have to put your pride aside and just be like, you know what, I need help, man. I need help, whether that's talking to someone, seeking help through a therapist, seeking help through medication, or going to a doctor, or anything. I think you just need to, as a man, I think it'll take more pride as a man I think it takes more pride to approach someone as a man, I should say. As a man, it takes more pride to approach someone and ask for help than it is to just hide behind and hold it in and then eventually just explode. And then that's where us men get looked at as, oh, they're just violent assholes who freak out all the time.
Yeah.
But no one takes, peels it back and be like, you know what? A lot of men got brought up this way, where we're not allowed to show emotions. We're not allowed to cry.
No.
And I think a lot of other guys or a lot of women are just thinking like that. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that needs to be dove into. Is a lot of us guys got brought up thinking like, hey, or our fathers or our grandfathers or someone, you're an ugly crier. Don't cry. You're fine. Rub dirt on it. Get over it. It's fine. You don't do that. Get back out there. And I think that's where it all starts at a young age for us. And I think that's kind of where we are. And people, especially I feel like women, don't think about that kind of stuff when we do finally explode, or we do yell, or we do get angry, because I think a lot of us are embarrassed to show that we're sad. I very rarely do I cry in front of Abby.
I have gotten better to allow my emotions. Like, your wife being someone that has dealt with mental health has helped. She doesn't have, her main mental health issue is not anxiety, but just having mental health problems of her own has allowed her to recognize, hey, he can have mental health problems, and she understands some days I'm just not feeling. We call it bajiggity, like that, where you're just not feeling 100%. Like, you just don't feel good, you don't feel right, and you just need a mental health day. Like, my old employer, I literally needed, just days off, because it was a draining job, because I was not cared about. Like, my job was not cared about, and it's just a menial office job, but just like, being not respected over and over, day in, day out, it gets to you. And internal temperature cool. Oh God,
what's happening?
Our feet. Our feet just went out.
All right. Oh, we're back up. Okay, so we're having difficulties with the camera, but you guys, I think, can still hear me. I think you guys can still hear me. Ed's working on the camera, but while our camera's out and you can't see my beautiful face, we have a few comments here I'd like to read. Sneaks, who is a dear friend of mine, who's a great guy, and he's I nothing but love for him. You gotta open it from the top, man. It's locked.
Gotta probably open windows and cool it down here.
Sneaks said same happened with me a couple years ago. Sneak said same happened with me and a couple employers ago. Men aren't supposed to have emotions. We have all heard of it. And then Dan came back and also commented, and now a lot of guys I know, with everything that happened with the pullout, you can open the door too, since there's no one, just to get it more cool in here.
Yeah, just so it cools down in here.
That's fine, yeah. And now a lot of guys I know, with everything just happened with the pullout in Afghanistan, just being a total shit show, just hitting a lot of guys hard, and now all of those feelings are back, and everyone feels like it was all for nothing. All the friends we lost and everything else was just for nothing. With how the pullout went, and everyone just saying, hey, it's been over 10 years. That country shouldn't matter to you anymore. We are gone and done. Get it over with it. Get over it. It is what it is. It is what we are being told now. And see, Dan, that I think is 100% wrong. You guys have probably lost close friends, people you called family over there, and I think a lot of people looking from the outside in don't understand what you guys have been through over there.
And now it's all, everything that happened in there is just,
and I want to thank you, Dan, for all your service and everything you've done for this country, and and I want to thank you and your buddies and everyone else that you've deployed with, and all, and rest in peace to your buddies and everyone that you lost over there, man. I can't believe, I couldn't fathom watching a loved one go like that, or someone as close as that.
And I couldn't imagine having to go and do all that, and then we just the entire USA is like, oh, we're done, we're getting out, and all that work that those men put in, gone. Yep. Taliban is back. Oh, we're better. No, all that work, all the entire government that they worked so hard putting together is now gone.
Yep. And then Sneaks also said, pride is an excuse. All of our lives we are taught to be the rock. Pride is an excuse for the embarrassment we feel because we don't understand how to feel.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's hard for a lot of men to put their pride aside to ask or look for help, and I think that needs to change. I think it takes a bigger, stronger man. We're out again.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, we are. There we go. Okay, I think it takes a bigger, stronger man to.
It's because I turned on the.
To ask for help.
Oh.
You got to put your pride aside sometimes and do what's better for you and your mental health. And it's just it's frustrating that us men don't get the same amount of, I don't want to say respect, but it's not talked about as much as women's mental health. I feel.
I don't think mental health in general is talked about, but it's even talked about less.
Much less for us men.
Yeah.
And no one does.
Just because women are allowed to show emotion, they've been able to push farther and with getting their mental health.
And I think that's just the thing. Like, people say, oh, women are
the
emotional creatures, but like we're all human.
Yeah.
We all have emotions. We can all feel something, but I think it's just built into us where it's like, you can't cry, you can't be mad, you can't be upset, you can't be depressed, you can't be any of these things. Don't ask for help. Don't do this. I think that's where a lot of men just put their head down, go to work their 9 to 5 or whatever the case is, come back and be the husband, the dad, the fiance, the boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, and just keep going. Like us as men just got to keep chugging along and keep moving. And I think that needs to change. And I want to create with everyone in here, man. And I hope everyone reaches out and shows this to someone. And I want this to try to be a safe space for like people to come in and be like, hey man, this is what happened. I'm not doing good, and we can talk about it. Yeah. Or you can message me or message someone and go to the Discord. We only bring up the name. We can just say, hey,
send a DM to one of us.
Just DM one of us. Like, I want this to be a safe spot for anyone, especially men. I mean, obviously women are welcomed in as well. This is a mental health podcast today, but men especially, you guys don't need to be afraid to talk about it. Like, you guys don't need to, if you lost a loved one and you have to act like this big tough guy, you really don't. Like, you can show emotion, you can cry, you can vent to someone, you can vent to one of us, my mom, my wife, Sneaks, all these guys are in my Discord. Get in the Discord. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And if we don't have the answers for you, we will point you in the right direction.
Like right at the top of our, the pinned topic, and we will add more if there's needed.
Yep.
We'll find resources. If we have great conversations, we can, say, hey, this was a good resource. Mm-hmm. There's so many great resources out there, but, people are just afraid to actually seek them.
And I think, then we keep creating. If we can just touch one person, if one person hear this and look for help, I think then it would be amazing. I want this to help people, especially men who just feel stuck, men who have got it built into them where we can't be sad or angry or whatever, and it just keeps building up. Yep. Eventually you're going to snap.
Yep.
And when you snap, that's not good for anyone. That's not good for your kids, not good for your wife, not good for your boyfriend, girlfriend, family, whatever the case is. You cannot allow yourself to get like that. You need to talk to someone, and don't be afraid to ask for help, guys, especially us men. Put the pride aside, be the bigger man, and just ask for help. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know it's not what has been built into us, but us as men need to just start talking about how we are, and especially me with my wife. I need to do a better job with that too. I know you and my mom do a pretty good job,
but we didn't at first.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We didn't at first.
Yeah,
we have gotten far. Yeah, the gaming community is actually it's actually a great way where people have met and have helped and are willing to talk about it. Like, the internet community, has connected a lot of people together, and it's found out, like, hey, it's actually not so bad. Things aren't as bad.
Yeah, and even if it's not our community, or you guys don't want to join us, or or join the Discord or whatever the case is. Join someone's. You know, if you have a buddy out there and they have their own Discord and they're doing their own thing, join them. You know, for one, it supports them, and for two, it'll help you. Yep. It'll help you be able to open up and talk to someone. You okay?
Yeah, I'm just having problems with this camera now.
Oh, so do you need to take a break? Something?
No,
I can go on.
No, I'm literally able to talk. That's the thing. That's with our new system we've upgraded. I can literally fix these problems, and we can still, and I can always just go to this camera now. You know, like that's actually we've put some upgrades in, and you know we're going through the growing pains of upgrading. And stuff is overheated because it was hot in the house.
You know, like Sneak said, you know, like Sneaks and my wife both said support chain, having that support system there. Even if like I've never met some of these people in real life, like Jason. Jason is a good friend of mine. I've never actually met him in real life face to face.
Yeah.
But I talk to Jason, you know.
Yeah.
He lives in the Netherlands. I live here in the United States, and Jason's a great guy. Like I've never met Sneaks, but me and Sneaks have had great conversations. You don't even have to know these people face to face to seek help.
Like for a long time in my life, my best friends were online, you know?
Yep.
Like it's changed, you know, as I've gotten older, and I'm not online as much as I used to be.
Yeah.
But some of my best friends were online, you know? And, you know, I would vent to them. I wouldn't vent to, you know, like I didn't have as many personal friends. Like,
yeah. And I think that's just one thing, you know, you guys, we don't need to be the closest of friends to reach out and talk.
No.
You know,
if you recognize that, if you recognize that you have anxiety and have questions about like wanting to potentially get on medicine, you can reach out to me. I am 100% open and honest about any of my medication and what I have done.
Yeah. And we got another comment. People need to come to the realization that it is okay to not be okay. Before I read, I agree with that. It is okay to not be okay. I love that. Dan goes on to say, it's one of the best things I've ever done. I stopped caring about what other people think. I know what I've done, and if they can't sit here and be okay with me having problems dealing with the new screw, then screw them.
Yep.
You just got to push that pride aside and admit that you need help, and that is exactly what I'm saying, Dan. It is okay to not be okay.
Yes,
and
you can have days, you can have months, you can have years not being okay. Yep. You know,
and like Dan said, another guy said, push that pride aside. It takes a bigger man to ask for help than it is to just swallow it and move on and to become an asshole for a day or two. You know, you guys, we need to ask for help. And then Jason commented, for example, one of my close friends took his own life this week. First of all, before I go on, yes. I'm sorry to hear that, Jason. I saw you posted it. You know, prayers for him and his family and you. You know, that can't be easy. I had a dear friend of mine take his own life too. I actually have his initials tattooed on me. But I'm sorry for that, and prayers and everything to you, him, and his family, man. You know, rest easy, man. You know what I mean? But you've probably seen on my story on Snapchat, but same goes with him. He never talked to anybody, and it came to the point where now everyone, including his family, still wonders where this came from.
Yeah, like where'd it come from? He was such a good boy. He was always so happy. People put on charades.
Yeah.
You know, people put a charade on for.
You know, even when we're sad, I think a lot of, even in men, a lot. I mean, I know women do it, but like, I think a lot of men, you know, when we're having really bad days, we put that fake smile on just to not bother anyone else, just to not have.
No, that is not being a bother, in my opinion. It is, you know, you're having a bad day.
Yeah.
You might.
And we can have those. We're allowed to have bad days.
Yes, men are allowed to have a bad day mentally. They're allowed to have a bad day, have a bad week. You know, a hard week. They're allowed to have that, and you know, it's not talked about. You know,
and that's a shame. You know, one of my really good buddies. What is it? 8 years ago now. I went through the training academy for the Department of Corrections. His name is Dustin Meeker, and he was an ex-Navy SEAL who, for some reason, wanted to become a freaking correctional officer for the state of Wisconsin. No idea why, but he was a cool ass dude. You know what I mean? Never talked about his mental illnesses at all. He was a big beastie guy. You know, He was a cool dude. He was a really nice guy, and I got really close to him and a few other buddies. And you know, we went out and he went to Columbia Correctional, which is way up north, and you know, I'm down here and you know, whatever. So we kind of lost touch. We talked every now and then. Yeah. Him and another one of my buddies that I went to the academy with went partying one night at a bar and all this other stuff, and Next thing you know, my buddy lost Dustin. You know where Dustin went, and like literally an hour before everything happened, they posted pictures of them having fun.
Yeah.
And then an hour later goes by, and they can't find him. And next thing you know, he shot himself in the head, and it was a very hard thing to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, that was a guy I looked up to. You know, I don't know, even though I never told him I looked up to him, he was a really good guy. He, you know, he put his head down, he worked hard, he did a lot of good things, and he was gone. You know, gone and not forgotten. I got his name tattooed above my cross on my arm. You know, and you know, DM. You know, I sent it to his mom, and his mom loved it and appreciated it. You know, it's hard talking about mental health, and he had PTSD, just like we talked about.
Yeah, PTSD.
Probably he never brought it up. He never brought up anything, and I feel maybe if he was, I don't know how it is having PTSD and being in the military and all the things that you guys have seen, but just trying to talk to someone might have saved his life, and that's a hard thing to think about. You know what I mean? But we have another comment here from Dan. One of the best pictures I ever saw that opened my eyes was the one with Robin Williams, Chester Bennington, and all the celebrities smiling that committed suicide. And opened my eyes, like if it happens to them, it can happen to anyone.
Robin Williams is probably one of the biggest because
I remember that.
You know, he's Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, like all these happy, funny movies, and he was still had mental health problems and depression and committed suicide. And Chester Bennington was lead singer of one of my all-time favorite bands.
I don't know who that is.
Lead singer of Linkin Park.
Singer of Linkin Park, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he committed suicide after Chris Cornell accidentally committed suicide, like because that was one of his best friends, and it literally hit him really hard. Or the fall of Bam Margera after what is it, Dan, or what was the one that died from the Jackass?
What's not Bam Margera? Who was that? Anyone know?
No, Bam has had a lot of mental health problems since because of it.
Yeah.
Ryan, was it Ryan that died? Ryan Dunn?
Yes, I believe so. I think it's Ryan Dunn.
But his the death of Ryan led to the mental health problems of Bam, and they still don't even talk about it. Like, it really, men aren't allowed to talk about it, even at the highest level of fame,
And I don't talk about it often. But we have 31 people in here.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I myself, a couple years back, attempted suicide. I got into it with my, at the time, girlfriend, which we are obviously not together. Got into it really bad. I was a correctional sergeant at the Milwaukee Security Detention Facility, but I took over the county jail as a sergeant. So I had a lot going on in my life, and I never talked about it. I don't think a lot of people knew that I was struggling. I didn't reach out to anyone,
Yeah. And we weren't close. Like
no, you and I, you weren't. I don't think you were even with my mom.
Yes, no, I was.
Were you?
Yeah, I was with your mom, but we still were not that close.
You and I weren't that close.
If that has happened in the last year or so. Yeah.
But the police came. Someone called the cops because my then girlfriend decided to push me around, and and things fell off, or got escalated, I should say.
Yeah.
And someone called the cops at the wee hours of the morning, and they called. They said that she should leave, and she left. And so then I was in my own head, and I was not mentally okay, and I did some things that I wish I didn't do. And I was in my kitchen bleeding really bad, and I realized how much blood is going on, a puddle of blood and all this stuff, and I Snapchatted my friend Jeremiah, and he actually called the cops, and the cops came, and they knocked on the door, and I got up, and I answered the door, and they told me to, put my hands behind my back, all this sort of stuff, and I did, and I started walking out, but my door was open.
Yeah.
And at that time, the only thing I cared about was my dog. Yeah. My dog Oliver, the only one that's been with me, my whole life.
He's been through all this.
He's been my dog Oliver, and he would be the one to run.
Yeah.
The door's open. I have 3 cops pointing their guns at me, for Christ's sake, after what just happened. And, backing up, my hands behind my head, and my door's open. I said, my dog's going to run out. As I'm crying, blood all over the place. And they said, whatever, keep backing up. I said, no, I'm going to shut my door. And they said, don't move. So I went and shut my door. Nothing happened. Obviously, I'm still here. So I shut my door, and then the cops came. They put their hands on me. I went down on my knees, and then I passed out.
Yeah.
I lost too much blood. And the last thing, I remember waking up in the ambulance, them cutting my shirt off and all this other stuff. And I woke up in the hospital, and I believe my mom was there. I think I think my mom was there. You know,
I didn't go.
My mom was there crying. You know, and that was a hard thing for me to see. You know, and looking back, I wish I would have talked to someone. Yeah. You know, I wish I would have opened up and been that bigger man that I'm trying to talk about. But you know, it's hard, you know. But yeah, that's what happened. But we have a comment here. We have a few comments. Yeah. Jason said the surprise effect because you don't see it coming hits the hardest. They can be partying with you today, but take their own life tomorrow. That makes the thought live in your head that your best friends, family members might struggle like that without anybody knowing. So this case, for example, so I never knew you felt like that. You know, I hear you. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. And sneaks to
depression. You see a lot of that on TikTok. Like, I don't like watching those, but those are like where like the wife goes off to work and the husband commits suicide during the day, and you know he said goodbye, have a great day, and it's just, you know, you wish he said something. You know, like I feel bad for that entire situation because it's just like it's just not talked about. You know?
Yep, and then you know, Sneak said depression is a horrible hidden illness. Those good at hiding emotions are the most vulnerable, and I agree with that. I feel like I hide mine pretty well.
Yes, you do.
I think I do a pretty good job of hiding mine, and that day, you know, I think about it. You know, I got scars and stuff like that, and luckily I have them all tattooed up, so I can't really see them anymore. But you know, it's something that I don't talk about often, especially when people ask me. You know, when I worked at my job, where'd you get those scars from? You know, I say I got attacked by an inmate, which I got attacked by inmates before, but I never had anything to scar me. But you know, people believe what you tell them, and I don't like bringing it up because I think it like I'm talking now. I feel weak talking about something that I've done.
When it shouldn't be. Yeah.
You know,
and also I wish there was something other than police to respond to a situation like that. Yeah. Because one, police are trained to respond to criminals. Mm-hmm. They respond to domestic violence and break that up. Yep. But they aren't, trained to respond to someone with mental health problems and they're having a breakdown and it literally, like the fact that, they have their guns drawn at someone that's, potentially wanting to commit suicide or has cut their arms is just like, it's not their fault, but it's also their training. Yep. And I think that's a lot of what's happened with cops. Like when people say defund the police, it's more transfer funds to mental health. Yeah. Like, I believe there is a spot for the police. Like the police are needed, but police should not be the first responders to everything.
Absolutely not. I agree with you on that one. I think there's better routes to go, especially, I don't know what there is out there for people. There's a suicide hotline.
And I think there's now texting for it.
Is there?
Like the nationwide texting, and
I didn't know that. That's something I would. That's something that would be nice to have. And maybe
I'll toss all that stuff in our show notes.
Yeah. So just everyone listening or anyone out there that this reaches and podcast. If you guys are here live and you listen, or if you're still with us, listening to this far, please, if you're having a bad day and it's getting worse, and your bad days continue, reach out to someone. Yeah. You might have a mental illness. You might have something going on with you. Something could be wrong. And before that gets out of hand or gets worse, make sure you talk to someone or make a doctor's appointment or schedule an appointment with a therapist. Excuse me. Just don't be afraid to ask for help, guys.
Internal temp too high. Allow it to cool.
Damn. It's saying it's too high again?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Those are actually watching the live stream. Our camera is getting too hot. There's a fan, Ed. You can turn the fan on. The left switch over there.
This one?
See, look behind the coffee pot.
Oh.
The left switch, turn that all the way up. Nope. Left switch. There you go. And then now do the fan.
Okay.
Sorry guys, watching live stream. We're having some technical difficulties with the camera. But yes, guys, please just make sure you guys ask for help. That's the thing I want to push, you know what I mean? Like, I want you guys to push for asking for help. Don't be afraid. And I'm going to push my Discord, guys. Like, I know it's annoying. I know it's probably getting frustrating and all this other stuff. But, like, the Discord is a great place. We have so many people in there. I don't want to say so many people.
We're small, but we want to be bigger. But we do have great, we have people that have great for mental health.
Yes.
Like, I have experienced it. I'm willing to talk about it. I'm willing to talk about going through therapy, getting medicine. Your mom has a history of mental health problems.
There it goes. Thank you.
Yep. I will put all the notes in our show notes for the tape versions and stuff like that.
Yep.
But
so like right there, it's 741 is the suicide prevention text number. So Jason, my dear friend Jason, came in and texted and let us know. So for those listening to us, even if you guys listening to us live or whatever the case is, podcast, 741 is the texting suicide prevention hotline.
Yep. Free 24-hour international. There's even international if you go to that. Yeah. You can text them on WhatsApp.
You can text them on WhatsApp?
Yes. Like I will put all of them, like Ireland. There's so many different ones. Like you can text on WhatsApp just because WhatsApp's international. So you can text that on It's crazy.
Sorry. Someone thought we said a naughty word on here, and I've not. We have not said that word because I never say that word.
What? Oh. You can yell that in text message?
No, my friend Evan thought we said a certain word, and we didn't.
Oh.
I think you caught the end of the JAG, the JAG.
Oh.
I think I said JAG. You thought I said something.
We said fairy too.
Fairy, yeah.
Because that's
fairy and JAG.
And we preface that we do not say those words. Yeah. We are not homophobic at all. But it is something that's actually used, especially in the military and stuff like that. Like it is not, gay to seek mental health. It is not weak to seek mental health. And it's just it's dumb.
But no, that we did not. No. We never said that word. We're good. I promise we're good. But yeah. So the suicide prevention number is 741-741. Make sure you guys, if you guys ever need any help and don't feel like talking on the phone, because like Ed said, he has phone anxiety.
Yes. So phone anxiety. Talking on the phone. I want to literally throw my phone when someone Like I can talk to certain people on the phone, but it's not all people on the phone.
Yeah. So guys, make sure even if you guys aren't willing to call the suicide number, at least text it, or reach out to your mom, your dad, any family member. Just make sure you guys reach out before it gets worse. Like what happened to me. Make sure you guys reach out, and I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. 1-800-784-2433 is the hotline
number now too
for suicide prevention if you're comfortable with calling. Thank you, Jason, for giving us that number. I should have it up. But 1-800-784-2433 is the suicide prevention. If not for you and your friend is struggling, please make sure you give them that number. Give them a text number 741-741. Reach out, talk to your friends. Just even once a week, once a month, just be like, hey man, how you doing? Just reach out, make sure they're doing good. If they haven't been on in a while on Xbox, or they haven't been on social media for a while, or they haven't texted, you guys usually text. Something could be going on. Make sure you guys it takes 30 seconds to be like, hey man, how you doing? It's all it takes is 30 seconds. You okay?
Yeah, I'm looking up the. Oh. I'm actually looking up because I knew they added a new number, and it's 988. That's the America Suicide Prevention.
988.
Yeah, that's the number. I was trying to find out what it was. So I remember it was last year, the year before. So in having to remember that huge number for 988 is America's, but I wish it was you can't be done. But they basically had until this year, and they find most of the big. I don't know about like landlines, but cell phones have.
Yeah.
And that number does not make the 1-800 number go away. It's also another option.
Yeah. So please, guys, don't be afraid. Put your pride aside. It takes a bigger man to ask for help than it takes to hide your emotions.
Yes.
So please ask for help. If you feel comfortable talking to me, Ed, my mother, my wife, we have a lot of people, and not a lot of people. But Jason's in the Discord. Sneaks is in the Discord. Yeah. We have a guy named Aimless in there in the Discord. We have people. 2 of them are from the Netherlands.
Did you see people?
2 of them are from the Netherlands.
Yeah. Just randomly.
We have people across the world, I would say. I mean, not a lot. We have like 12 or 13 people in there. But we got people in the States, people in the Netherlands. If you feel comfortable, reach out to us.
24/7, there's probably someone around.
Yeah, please reach out to us. Don't be scared. Guys, mental health is huge, especially within us men. Mental health is huge. And we do not share our mental health enough.
No.
Being men. We don't go out of the way and be like, hey, I'm really sad or depressed. So please, guys, find that comfortable spot, whether that's texting 741-741 or calling 1-800-784-2433, 988. Call those if you feel comfortable talking. Join the Discord. Reach out to a friend or family member. Reach out to someone.
I know there's some people hate Reddits, but there are good subreddits to find people to talk to. There's so many different options before going out and drinking and driving or committing suicide, which is the absolute worst.
None of us are licensed. Exactly.
None of us are licensed therapists, but we are 100% down to talk. We are down to make anything. Try to make it better.
Yep.
It's just. It might you might not need a therapist, if you're having just one bad day, but that one bad day could just spiral and make it worse and worse.
Yep. So guys, especially us men, even women out there, anyone, reach out before it gets to that point. You know what I mean? Yep. Reach out before it gets worse, because that's the big thing. Especially with I'm gonna keep pushing it. Us men do not talk about it enough and don't talk about our emotions and how we feel. So please, men out there listening, if you guys listen to this. Even if you aren't listening to us and your buddy reaches out, you guys reach out to your friends, reach out to your family members if you guys haven't heard from in a while. Let's make sure they're okay. Your grandparents.
We've gone through, since 2020, the world's gone through a lot of shit,
So it's been a hard few years, and like my good friend Dan said up ahead, his military experience, he asked for help, got pretty much forced out, and that can't be easy, losing your brothers and sisters overseas and all that stuff. So please, guys, reach out if you need to. Us. My family is your family. When you guys, we're a big family here. We won't make fun of you. We won't laugh at you.
That's your brand. Not making fun of the brand. But that's because you mean it.
Yep.
Your subs are the family, and we're in the neighborhood. Yep. You're using Mr. Rogers because Mr. Rogers, everyone was equal. Everyone was family.
Yep. So
that's such a big thing. And then we use Fast and the Furious for your subscriber because he was Dom Toretto's we're all family here. Family.
Yep. So if you guys don't already, make sure you guys follow. You guys turn on the notifications. You guys join the Discord. If you guys want, it's a good way for us to connect and talk to us, and we're all open. Ed has a lot of experience with anxiety, with a lot of other things, and he's very open about it. And he's a very good resource. And if he doesn't know the answer, he will point you in the right one.
Yes,
he knows that he's very knowledgeable, and my mother is too. My mother is great at this kind of stuff as well. So right there is two great people, and they're non-judgmental. They'll be there if you need them. Obviously, they sleep.
We sleep, but
we're
up and most of the day.
And I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I'm pretty much with my computer and laptop and phone in hand all times. So please make sure you guys reach out to everyone. Reach out before something bad happens. Yeah. So unless there's anyone in chat, since we have 81 people in here,
which is insane. But I also want to say that mental health is not. We're not going to not talk about it again. Mm-hmm. This was our welcome, our first, because this is only our 6th episode.
Yep.
We want to make it a recurring thing. We want to make this one a broad episode. Maybe we'll talk about one episode. We'll talk about therapy.
Yep.
Then we'll just focus more on a specific type. We'll focus on therapy. We'll focus on therapy. We'll focus on anxiety, medication, domestic issues and how that affects our mental health.
Yep.
And then our next episode is going to be a little more lighter.
Yeah.
And that's just to have a great
end to it.
Yeah, great end to our grade, because having 2 serious topics just weighs on everybody.
Yeah. And guys, we will be talking about the stuff that gets into the doghouse. This is the Doghouse Podcast.
Yes.
We will be talking about stuff that drives me nuts with our wives or something.
Yes.
Something we will get into the doghouse, but we just wanted to make this episode serious. Mental health is a big thing, and I want everyone to make sure. Jason has been a great help in chat, giving us the numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The domestic violence, alcohol abuse, and anger, depression. 1-800-773-6667. Again, that's 1-800-773-6667. So please, guys, I know we just lost video, but we'll be right back. But
I just had
please make sure you guys reach out. Us, anyone. Reach out to family members, everyone. Make sure everyone's good. If you're having a hard time, reach out to someone.
Yep.
But unless someone in chat has something to say, or experience something that's maybe harping on them that they want to talk about, feel free to put that in the chat. We'll talk about it. But I think we're gonna move on.
We'll close up.
We're gonna close out and go to the next. If you
want to do our outro, and I gotta switch the cameras a little bit.
So for those, I'm gonna say it for those watching us live. For those watching us live stream, this is obviously gonna be going on any podcast.
Yep. Pocket Cast, Overcast, Apple Podcast, Google
Spotify,
Podcast, Spotify, everything. We put it up on everything.
When you guys watch us live, we have to do an outro, then an intro again, and he has to switch over some stuff. So, I gotta do the outro, and then Ed's gonna do some stuff, and if you guys want to talk about something again, and then I have to go back into the intro.
Yep.
And then we can talk about it, and then I go do an outro, and then if people are active in chat or want to, we can do a little after show and kind of hang out and talk. If not, we'll deal with it then. But again, you can find us on all podcast platforms. We're literally usually it's up by Wednesdays.
Yep, Wednesdays at noon.
We're up on pretty much everywhere you guys listen to your podcast. So I'm gonna go ahead. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. All the links are down below. Tune in every week on Wednesday at noon. Noon Central, where you guys listen to your podcast. We're on all your favorite podcasts where you guys listen to it. This is the Doghouse Podcast, and we're out. Appreciate you guys.